Hello, everyone. All right, so I wanted to talk to you about this very potential issue for many customers if you live in a rural community or just in an area where 5G is scarce, you don't have much of it, and you're probably using LTE as a lack of the 5G coverage that's available to you. If you live in a very rural area or in an apartment building or a house that's structured in a way that signal isn't very strong through maybe the materials that were created to build your home or apartment, you might be using a cell spot. Now, if you're using one of those cell spots, T-Mobile has pretty much decided to get rid of it. They are getting rid of it, make no mistake about it. Now, they've been phasing it out for a couple of years. There's just, I guess, a lack of demand because of 5G being built out. However, there's still many customers that are using this and do rely on it because of the lack of 5G coverage of where they currently live and because of the lack of T-Mobile coverage in general where they live. So even LTE is very weak because probably the nearest tower is in town. And if you live in a very rural community, you could be a couple of miles away from that town. You might have to drive into that town. It could be 2 miles away. And based on how your house was created, the way it's angled, the materials, etc., there could be blockage, creating a problem for you where you don't have good service. The cell spot was helping many of those customers in their homes and even office buildings to use T-Mobile service. They were able to function with it and be okay with their LTE connections. But now many are concerned with T-Mobile taking this device away. What are they going to do? So now they're going to have to look for other alternatives. I really hope that there's some good deals out there for them, because if they can't connect to Verizon or at&t, they might have to go with like a local internet service provider, which may not offer the best deals. So I certainly wanted to keep you guys in the loop because I know many of you do live in very rural communities, and this could be a potential issue for you if you're still stuck on LTE and it's so bad that you even have to use a cell spot because of certain situations. Now, for me, from my experience, and this is the truth, certain areas of my home have poor T-Mobile signal. If I move a little bit towards the window, it gets a little bit better. I've done some speed tests, even on LTE. For some reason, there's just kind of like this blockage. Now, there's like one area where I can go on LTE and I get phenomenal speeds. Whipping this fast, very, very fast. Great LTE speeds. But then if I leave that area, it gets very weak. It drops to like 1 or 2 bars. And I've had a cell spot when I was connected to LTE only. Since 5G came around, I've returned it. But I was relying on one. It was helpful. It took my 2 bars to 5 bars, and it made it usable. Of course, the cell spot can interfere with your router if you have 5G. If you have a 5G phone and you're using the cell spot, it can confuse your router, cause your router to kind of just restart itself for no reason. That was a problem I was having too. But again, for many, this is the only way that they're getting T-Mobile service. They're stuck on LTE because of the lack of 5G. And if you're in a very small town, it's unlikely that carriers are going to come and rush to build out 5G for you because it's too costly for them. And quite frankly, the reward isn't going to be worth it. There's not going to be enough customers that are going to connect to that service. If it becomes a populated area where more tourists and stuff, more tourists come around there, then potentially they'll go out there and make a few upgrades. But again, if you're too far away or you still live in an area, your type of home is built a certain way where it's still blocking, you could still have potential issues. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Hopefully it was helpful for those that are going to be affected by this. At least you'll be in the loop and know, and maybe you can start shopping around for other options before you get cut off and it's too late. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.